It always seems impossible until it's done. These are the words of Nelson Mandela, and they carry the weight of a life that stared into the abyss of the impossible and did not blink. This isn't just a hopeful sentiment. It's a profound truth about the human experience. It speaks to that giant wall we all face at some point in our lives, the one built of doubt, fear, and the overwhelming evidence that our goal is simply out of reach. It's the voice that whispers, "This is too big for you. This cannot be changed." I want you to think about what impossible truly means. For many of us, it might be starting a business, running a marathon, or healing a broken relationship. These are our mountains. But the story I want to share with you is about a man whose mountain was a system of oppression so entrenched, so brutal, and so absolute that it seemed as permanent as the ground itself. Let's go back to mid-20th century South Africa. The system was apartheid, a legal framework of racial segregation that stripped the black majority of their rights, their dignity, and their humanity. It was a world where your race determined where you could live, whom you could marry, and what future you could dream of. To challenge this system wasn't just difficult, it was considered suicidal. To dream of its end was to dream of the impossible. This was the world Nelson Mandela chose to fight. As a young lawyer and activist, he became a leader in the struggle for equality. For his efforts, the state branded him a terrorist. He was hunted, arrested, and in 1964 sentenced to life in prison. He was sent to Robben Island, a barren rock in the middle of a cold sea. This was meant to be the end of his story. He was locked in a tiny cell, forced to do hard labor in a limestone quarry, and cut off from the world. For 27 years, he was a prisoner, a whole lifetime. The world changed, leaders came and went, but he remained, a symbol of a lost cause. The end of apartheid seemed more impossible than ever. But inside that prison, something extraordinary happened. Mandela refused to be broken. He turned his prison into a university, educating his fellow inmates. He turned his punishment into a platform, becoming the world's most famous political prisoner and a moral leader for a global movement. He never lost sight of the goal. He never accepted that it was impossible. He was chipping away at the mountain, one stone at a time, from the inside. Slowly, the world began to listen. The Free Nelson Mandela movement grew into a global cry for justice. The pressure on South Africa's government became immense. And then, on February 11th, 1990, the impossible began to happen. Nelson Mandela walked out of prison, a free man. But his work wasn't done. The system of apartheid, though weakened, still stood. Many predicted a bloody civil war. Revenge seemed inevitable. But Mandela chose a different path. He chose reconciliation over retribution. He preached forgiveness. He negotiated with his former captors and, in 1994, became the first democratically elected president of a free South Africa. The impossible was done. Mandela's life is the ultimate proof of his own words. His story teaches us that the label impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. It's a temporary state of being that can be overcome with unrelenting courage, unwavering belief, and the will to endure. So, when you face your own mountain, when you hear that voice whispering that your goal is out of reach, remember the man in the tiny cell on Robben Island. Remember that every great achievement, every revolution, every single thing that has ever changed the world for the better first seemed impossible until it was done.